It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Exciting brand new show this week. All kind of craziness going on right now. Some big news this week in terms of interest rates. Huge news came out, but we saw highs hitting back as far as 2018. We'll talk about that, what's going on there, what that means here locally. We're seeing a lot of people kind of freak out about that and say, man, what's that doing with home sales? Is it going to crash it? And we'll talk about, I've gotten that question twice today already, actually. So we'll talk about what's going on there, what that means, kind of what to look for as home sellers. Other thing too, we're still seeing some craziness in terms of numbers. We did see a slight decline in terms of sales so far this year. A lot has to do with inventory. Prices still doing very, very well. We'll talk about that, but also talk about what to look for. Right now is kind of the busy season we're coming into in what they call the spring market. Usually every single year, that's a big thing that we run into. People that have been on hold through the winter, they tend to make moves. People from up north tend to come down in town and combine a quick getaway with their purchase. And so we'll talk about that. Our team's been seeing some craziness in terms of that overall. Also look at why right now spring's a golden opportunity for home sellers. We had that on the list a few weeks ago, just didn't get time to look at it, but I think it's very important to look at overall. And also a spring kind of cleaning checklist for potential home sellers this spring. A lot of great stuff that are quick and easy fix-ups and things you can do to add value to your home, and also make it show a lot better in terms of traffic coming in and things like that. And also one more thing I had on last week's show I thought was very important. A lot of things we see all the time and just did not get a chance to talk about was an example where a buyer came in, they had an inspection, they requested $60,000 off the price. Turns out we were able to find a qualified contractor who can do all of that stuff for $5,000 and get those things fixed up there. And so these small nuances are things that can make or break a lot of extra money in your pocket as a home seller. So it's important for you to really understand the ins and outs of that. We'll obviously go over market data, look at what's happening both here locally, nationally, and also, as usual, some amazing success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it, making the right adjustments to be in the current market. And really, we have one goal here for this show, right? The one goal for this show, been doing over 10 years, is just to provide value to you as listeners in terms of real estate, right? How to make better decisions and just really kind of be in the know of what's going on. The only thing we ask for is anyone you talk to, anyone you come across that's thinking about buying and selling, have them reach out and say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake, and we'll make sure we take great care of them. But we'll dig into those awesome numbers here in a few seconds.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. If you just tuned in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. You may be seen him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, the morning show. You've heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LeBlanc. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yeah, and I think that's really the DNA behind why we do this show. We've really added this to make sure I made a promise, man, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, that every single week I talk about this, because I was doing the show for years and I'd still see the same mistakes that people make over and over and over again. And it didn't matter how affluent they are, how many properties they sold before, they made the same mistake over and over and over of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. It could not be further from the truth. There's really a drastic difference between ones that are true experts and everybody else just kind of, I like to say, piddling in it in terms of what that is, right? If you're charged with a crime you did not commit, the last thing you want is a part-time attorney. He's only tried a few cases, right? Or a lot of times doctors, lawyers, the same way. Who you use matters. If I'm having open heart surgery, how much more am I going to be willing to pay for a doctor who's doing their first one, right? Their very first open heart surgery, or somebody who's done 10,000. There's a lot of different pieces of experience there that can make or break the outcome. And I don't know why anyone would not demand that same level of expertise and excellence when they're dealing with their largest asset. And so here's the deal. The single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period, right? Not the wall color, not the grass quality. It comes down to the agent you choose, and really comes down to how that agent actually executes. Because when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what that does? It puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point, and that happens a lot. It could be anything from, does the agent actually answer the telephone when somebody calls off the for sale sign, right? What are the quality of the photos? Are they with a cell phone or professional? What's the order of the photos, right? Is there a right order to photos to make sure buyers look at them and create a question for a showing, right? There's all these different nuances of how it's negotiated. What's pricing strategy? What day of the week do you list it on? There's all these things that matter. And the problem is most single agents don't have a system in place. Most agents really go by the 3 Ps. One, they promise you the world to get the listing. I mean, they tell you anything and everything that they think you want to hear to get you list with them. Second thing they do is they put it to MLS, right? So everybody else can see it through the MLS search portal. And then 3, they just pray that someone brings a buyer, hoping they get it sold. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing. Why? Because that's how agents have to survive. The average agent in our marketplace sells roughly 4 homes a year, 1 a quarter. There's not a whole lot of money to market with when you're selling 4 a quarter, and there's not a whole lot of experience in understanding what happens there. And the reality is, you want to make sure that you get your house the right exposure, especially in a market that's one of the hottest of all time. And so what we did is I said, look, there's got to be a better way to this, and create a system that's proven repeatable, that creates maximum leverage at every single point, literally written out in the system, with each has 2 things behind it, both people, aka a team, and has technology in terms of system and processes that make sure we manage those proactively. It's called the guaranteed sold system. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. It's designed to do one thing, which is to give you, the seller, a competitive advantage in the process. And it works over and over and over again, just like it's designed. I designed it. We licensed other agents, other parts of the country, but it works very, very, very well. And right now, it makes a big difference. Yes, and this is something I talked about a while back, and I think it's important to mention. Last week, we had the car show, right? We had the overall car show down here, and you saw all kinds of different cars, right? Lots of classic cars. And there's a reality that you could sell a classic car just if you want to, without having to have any advertising, anything else, right? Let's say a classic Corvette, take a classic Corvette, put it in a Walmart parking lot, put a sign on it. Yes, let's say it has 200 miles on it, pristine condition, amazing. You put a sign on it, put in the Walmart parking lot on 501, either one of the 3. And guess what happens? You could probably get that thing sold today. No problem. You don't need anybody to help you. But the question you have to ask yourself, did I sell that classic Corvette for the most amount of money possible? We both know that answer is no. And so if you only depend on the MLS and some agent who's only sold a few homes and they just put MLS, that's the equivalent of taking your house, aka your classic Corvette, and putting it into the Walmart parking lot and hoping that someone drives by and makes a decent offer. Yes, you can sell it, but you have to ask yourself, am I getting the most money? In most cases, you're not. And what drives up that price is having more people see it, more qualified buyers see it, aka more eyeballs. And so what if you took that same classic Corvette and put it in every Corvette enthusiast magazine, every Corvette enthusiast website, every Corvette enthusiast group online? Now you have tens of thousands of more people who are qualified and interested in that type of Corvette. Guess what happens to price? Price goes up, and you tend to have more interest, which then again drives up the ultimate value for the Corvette. And that's how you get top dollar. That's the same exact thing that our system does. And you want to make sure you have someone who has the resources, aka money, and technology and systems to do the same exact thing for you. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with an average agent or a friend who just got in the business, there's not a whole lot of money to eat with, much less spend in marketing when you're selling 4 houses a year. And so that's the reality of what happens. And that's why it's so important that you understand that the agent you choose matters, especially in one of the hottest markets of all time. On the flip side, guess what? It's also very, very difficult right now to buy a home. And so you want to make sure you have someone in there that can help you navigate what's going on, make the right offers so you don't miss out and really overpay in some cases. So what we did there is designed a system that gave buyers a huge competitive advantage. The system I designed is called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gets you priority access to absolute best deals, foreclosures, distressed sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price as well as navigating through home inspection and getting you to the closing table successfully with the best possible price for the home. And so both those help you. But the key is, if you listen to this, understand there's a massive, massive difference in the agent you choose and the quality of service that you get. And you want to demand the best for one of your largest assets. So take a quick break, right back here in a second with the brand new market numbers.
Here with my trusted friend in the real estate market, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. So what do home sellers, what do they need to know about the market right now? Home sellers need to know the market on the Grand Strand absolutely on fire. We're seeing record numbers in terms of prices that sellers are getting. It's almost unbelievable. We're seeing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars coming in the Northeast. They're just coming bidding up properties, getting sellers more money than they ever thought possible. Got it. Now, how will that get them more money? That's going to help get home sellers more money because there's more buyers here than we've ever seen before. But we're not sure how long that's going to last. We are seeing that start to level off a little bit. And some of that interest has started to slow down. So sellers definitely need to take advantage of the super hot market right now before there's any type of shift. All right, as always, thanks for the insight. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, we can agree to sell it by a certain date, take after a home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
We use our proven marketing plan and sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Got the brand new market numbers in. Last week, we talked about the overall micro market, which was, hey, look, what's going on in my area, my zip code. If you want to see that, go back to YouTube. We stream that live on YouTube. You can check that out. Just Google Blake Sloan Radio Show. You should be able to watch that very, very easily. Looking at this week, though, we'll just cover the macro market numbers really quick. They're interesting, right? Because we've seen it level off in terms of amount of homes sold. Obviously, this is looking in arrears. Call this the rear view mirror. These are properties that close, which means they went under contract usually 30, 60, sometimes 90 days prior. So it's really important when you're making your decisions that you have some real-time data that you're using as well. So looking at last month's single-family home sales, which is resales, basically what everyone lives in, that's resold, not brand new construction. I like to use resale because new construction data is just not very accurate all the time. They don't report it, through all the different portals and stuff. So looking at numbers right now, last month, single family resales were up 0.4%. So not very much. Look at February last year, 476 homes. February this year, 478 homes. So right on point with where it was. It was lagging a little bit on the first couple months of the year. But the one good news, though, if you're looking at sales price is still on fire. A new record here for median price, $339,500 right now, which is up 19.1% from the same month last year, which is awesome. A lot of extra equity there in terms of what people are getting, really almost $60,000 plus that the average homeowner here got in our area. And I was looking at a national article. If we have time, we'll talk about today. The average homeowner in the United States last year gained $55,000 in equity. Good news is we're beating that right now in terms of median, which is awesome. Looking at average sale price, looking at last month versus same month last year, up 11.8% at $410,330, which is great. We peaked out last year in average price in September at $416.45. It dropped down to $390 in November. In the past 3 months, it's really been climbing back up, and right now we're back up to $410,330. And so that all depends on area, right? It's a very unique area that we have here along the Grand Strand that goes along the coast. And as further inland you go, the price of land is a little bit less. And so it all depends on the micro market in terms of that. Now, what's really been protecting price and really going to protect the market as a whole has to do with inventory. And so right now, inventory has been the big story for a long time now. And inventory is down 37.5% from the same time last year. Right now, it's at 1.0 months. So, obviously, that's a super seller's market, meaning that the home seller has a huge advantage in terms of what's happening as inventory is low. Again, this is one of the hottest times as, the spring market's here. If I'm thinking about selling, I want to really sell when demand's the highest and also supply is the lowest, because I can really capitalize on price and find people who will pay more money. If I'm thinking about selling this year, there's some big news out last week that just talks about what's going to happen with interest rates, and they're going to raise a lot faster than anyone thought because obviously some of us knew inflation was a lot higher than they were telling everybody. So the reality is you want to think about maybe selling a little earlier this year as buyers can afford to purchase your home, because as interest rates rise in terms of mortgage interest rates, less buyers can qualify for your property. Debt to income ratios obviously limit them from buying certain amounts. And so it does limit who can buy your property, which means AK there's less buyers who can buy it. So if you want to think about doing that, you're probably going to see maybe some prices level off a little bit. We'll talk about some other things in a second, but from a strategy standpoint, I think this spring market's one of the best opportunities based on that. And if I'm thinking about taking some chips off the table, both as an investor, invest in property, rental property, or move up or move down, you want to take advantage of that right now when the inventory is super, super low. And so that's just something that we're really going to look at overall as well. The good news is showings are up through the roof right now. Month versus month, we're seeing 15.5% more showings right now in current real time than we did last year at the same exact time, which is great news overall. Condos have also been on fire overall in terms of prices and sales. Last month overall, closed sales for condos across the Grand Strand, resale condos that is, up 5.4% from the same time last year, which is great news overall. If you look at median price for condos, median condo price up 33.2% last year, which is awesome, up to $200,500, which is awesome stuff there in terms of that. Average price up 32%, up $236,658. And the big story in condos too is inventory. All-time low inventory right now, 0.6%, down 78.6% right now. And huge opportunity. We're selling condos like crazy. We're seeing these different waves. We've seen a lot of people buying right now, moving from other areas. We've had 3 clients this week selling properties in California, buying stuff here as they're layering in more ridiculous regulation on investors out there. They're bringing money over here where it's a little more affordable. We've seen huge numbers coming in right now. A lot of cash deals where people are liquidating what they have over there, doing 1031 tax exchanges over here and buying some big time properties. Just put a $1.7 million oceanfront property under contract this week. Baron on our team did that. Great job on that. We're just seeing a lot of big time money come in from other areas, which is helping price, but also from a home seller, you probably want to cash in on that right now as well. One reason that, I get the question a lot is, why are we seeing this inventory crisis? Are prices getting out of control? Is that going to create a crash? And I gave a kind of a big thing on Facebook earlier, someone who asked a question about that. But ideally, obviously there's no question there our economy has some major issues right now. But I don't think a lot of that's going to be housing driven. If you look at the really inventory problem, we had the crash 2008. And what that led to was 13 straight years, right, of the new housing starts, aka new properties being built, be below the 50-year average. And so what was happening is the overall housing supply literally wasn't keeping up with population increase. And so we'll talk about that maybe in another show if I have time at the end there. We really take a lot of that data into account from a strategy standpoint, what's happening. But here's the deal. As rates go up, as we know they will, it's going to allow less buyers to qualify for your house. And so if I want to cash out and maybe think about making some moves there, I want to make sure I can do that in the peak of the season. We all know that guess what Myrtle Beach is? It's a seasonal location. Growing up here my whole life, remember the whole time, again, I was born and raised here. And back in the wintertime, a long time ago, we drive on 17, I never forget. And the overall red lights would flash yellow in the wintertime, right? We've always been a seasonal market. Thankfully, not quite as seasonal as we used to be. But overall, right now, it is a seasonal market. Now, what's going to help along with that seasonality is we have seen interest rates make big time jumps overall in terms of what they are. Like right now, as a 30-year fixed rate, 4.71%. We hit 4.72 this past week, which is a high since 2018. We've seen a lot of people already in the 5s and 6s based on what type of property it is. If it's a condo, tail, or second home. And that's obviously going to depend on what type of lending they are, but they have shot up like crazy. A few weeks back, we were looking at 4.28. And even, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, we were at 3.71. So you're seeing that go up very, very, very quickly. And we foresee that continue to do so very quickly. A 15-year fixed rate, 4.07% right now. Overall, 30-year FHA is 4.38%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 4.10%, which is still very, very good. If you're buying a high-end property, again, that property we saw come in from California, 1031 tax exchange, along with a jumbo loan, buying a $2 million house on the ocean. And we're seeing lots of that going right now because there's still some great opportunities in the jumbo loan section for any of our high-end buyers or sellers out there. A 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 3.85%. And that's one thing. Last week, right? Last Tuesday, we saw mortgage rates their highest level since late 2018. And so that's just something that we kind of ran into. We'll look and see what happens going forward, but everyone's obviously seeing them raise up very, very quick. If I'm thinking about refinancing, if I'm thinking about making a move both laterally, moving up or moving down, take advantage of that right now before rates get too high. If you look at historically, they're still actually pretty good, but definitely don't wait too long this year. And here's the deal. If you have to have something where you got to fix it up or change it, don't worry about that. We're selling a lot of things right now as is. We have so many people. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking, man, I have to have this thing perfect. I don't want you to come in. Here's the deal. Call us and call me, and we can come in and say, here's the deal. Here's what you need to do and what not to do to get the most amount of money for your home. And so we can help you say, look, you might be able to get away with not doing this, but I maybe do this and get you the most amount of money. But the one thing I notice is people think they need a whole lot more than they actually do. And we can sell it for a whole lot more money you think you can with doing a whole lot less than you think you can too. So if you want to know more about that, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime. How looking on time, Dave? Time?
That agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about
Got about 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Cool. Thank you.
Guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agreed to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two mortgages.
there's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot buyers alert. My team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers who are looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach, entire Grand Street area, from $200,000 up to $3.8 million right now. If you're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One of the things we've been doing for really 10 years plus is I call it just putting our money where our mouth is. And also just talking about, we call it proof versus promises, where we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. You see us on the billboards, hear us on the radio stations, TV. What you don't see a lot of times is the massive amounts of money we spend online driving traffic from buyers all across the globe. Not just here locally, but nationally, internationally. And that's how we're able to sell properties faster and for more money, because before you ever thought about even calling me or calling us, or any of your friends ever thought about calling us, guess what we've been doing? Spending money like crazy to bring buyers in, and we're able to match up those buyers with your property immediately. We call it buyers in waiting, where a lot of agents, they wait till they put their sign in the ground before they even start off the ground running. And so with us, we already have that in place. One thing we've been doing very, very proud of is sharing every week how many active buyers we have real time. These are people with username, password account. They're looking to buy actively. And right now, the current count for active home buyers on our system, on my site that we have, that we spend money on monthly to drive traffic to, 67,165 active home buyers. Again, 67,165 active home buyers from all over the globe. And that's one of the first things we do when you call us, is it really blows everyone's mind, even other real estate agents' mind that we met with. It absolutely blows their mind. We say, look, here's our real-time buyers. Here's what they're looking at right this second. Literally, you can watch them looking at houses on there. And then what we're able to do is use our technology to reverse engineer and score all the buyers to match the one who has the highest score to your house. And so, like right now, I have Fran on the site. Fran's from Newark, Delaware. I got Victoria and Ronald from Crystal Lake, Illinois. I got Aaron from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I got Pam Long from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got Kathy from Joplin, Missouri. I got Mike from Kernersville, North Carolina. Ecton, Maryland. Tucson, Arizona. Carteret, New Jersey. Scranton, PA. I got Batesville, Arkansas, and Brooklyn, New York. It goes on for on and on and on here, where we have people. And the reality is, I want you to understand, we have buyers from all over the country, internationally. If you're thinking about selling or know anyone that is, say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake. He's got all the buyers, and we literally do. And we show you this so you can watch it and see it real time. But it's a massive difference, especially when you're talking about adding 10, 20, 30, 40,000 extra dollars in your pocket. Reach out, call us, 843-808-SOLD. Anybody you come across, uncle, aunt, cousin. If you like them, don't like them, whatever it is, we got to help them out and say, you want to make sure you don't make a mistake calling an average agent right now. I see it literally 6-7 times a week. People misprice it. One of our very, very high-end houses, one of the people on my team bought this week. They had a high-end house. They listed it wrong. They weren't experienced in that type of property. Our agent came in within 30 minutes to go on the market, wrote a nice, great offer. They didn't know any better. They just accepted it. If they would have waited and had a better strategy, they probably could have got 6 or 7 offers on it, driven the price up another 50, 60, maybe $100,000 in that price range. But the reality was the agent's inexperience, doesn't know what to do. They thought they had a great offer, but if they would have played the strategy right, they could have got a lot more money for their seller, up to $100,000 in that price range. So that's one of the many examples you run into. But on the flip side, let's talk about a couple success stories. Very, very exciting. Here's another high-end home. A different scenario here. This is Joe. Joe's a great listener of our show, so big shout out to Joe. I've been trying to sell his high-end luxury home directly across from the ocean, North Myrtle Beach, for over a year now. Had lists with multiple agents. Every time the realtor had no success, very low traffic, no offers. Thankfully, Joe reached out to us, myself and our team, because our billboards, and also listens to the radio show here. We sat down with Joe, shared him exactly what we can do that other realtors do not, in order to get his luxury high-end property, national, international exposure, and sold for top dollar. We came in, I designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtual reality walkthrough. Within a couple weeks, Joe had massive traffic, had Joe an all-cash offer on his home. Now I can continue building his newer, better home by putting maximum equity in his pocket, which is awesome. Also, a big shout out. We're seeing this a lot right now to Chance and Sandy. They owned a rental property in Conway, had been considering selling it for a while now, but after looking at all the data, they realized that right now they hit a peak in the market. They weren't ready to take advantage of today's super high prices and cash out on top. Thankfully, Chance saw our billboards, decided to give us a call. We met with them, shared exactly how we can get their home sold for absolute top dollar, and really even more money they thought they could. We designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough within just a couple of days with massive traffic. Here's what I was talking about earlier, the strategy. Generated 4 offers on the home, driving the price up. All the offers were either at full asking price or above. Chance and Sandy selected a cash offer. They decided to offer that's over asking price, sold as is, meaning they don't fix anything or change anything with no contingencies, meaning it's going to actually close, right? Now, don't have to worry about being landlords. They cash out on top, putting maximum equity in their pockets. So if you want to know more about that, be one of our success stories, reach out, call me, call myself, my team, 843-808. So we're hustling today and every day, and that's how much time we got left, Dave? Wrap it up 1 minute. All right, a little bit left. Here's the deal. Do not cost yourself a lot of money. I'm seeing a lot of agents make mistakes right now. We had one home seller who would have lost, $50,000, $60,000 last week if it wasn't for us able to help negotiate and look and say, let's get a quote on that $60,000 price reduction they had. They requested from a home inspection. We got it down to $5,000 through actual quote one of our vendors. So if you want to know how that works and how we can save you more money, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. We'll see you here next week at the same time.
When I'm moving on, won the award for ACM Song of the Year. It struck a chord with folks who understand the challenges that come with life's big changes. For many, that happens when it comes